Thank y'all for hanging out and watching that. It was really great to share it. Does anybody have any questions for me? It was good to watch it. This is my second time watching it tonight. I'm proud of the show, you guys. I know it was definitely um, it got a little crazy towards the end. It got a little chaotic towards the end. And, again, that's why I work so hard and I talk so much about the importance of ownership. Because if I truly believe if Faith and I had ownership of our intellectual property, if any artist has ownership of an intellectual property, there's just a greater chance of it being around and being healthy and being enjoyable. So, okay, Queen by Felicia says, "How did you feel when you found out about Monifa?" So, I've always known about Monifa. Monifa and I have been friends for a long time, and it's interesting. Mo was actually going to do this today, but everybody's super busy. I picked kind of a weird day. Hey, Meech, come and jump on this thing with me if you want. I love you, Latrobe. But Mo was going to jump on here. Mo and I have known each other for forever, forever, ever, forever, ever. So I already knew about Monifa's lifestyle. I had never met Therese, but I knew, Mo, and I have been friends for a while. So Mo and I are actually going to have a conversation on the Nights with Nicci podcast. I'm very excited about this conversation because a lot of people don't know, but I think Mo and I's relationship suffered some damage as well. People know that, me and Selena had issues, but a lot of people didn't know that me and Mo, had a moment. So I don't want to get into it now because we're actually going to sit down together and have a really great conversation. I look forward to being able to have that conversation with Selena as well. Kiki came and did She Speaks Live. We do for another one though, Kiki. So Kiki did come and do She Speaks Live. I'll air that episode on WIRF.TV. It'll be in our member section. So you have to join in order to see some of those conversations. Angie came and she and I had a great conversation as well. So Mo and I are going to have a great conversation. And I'm so grateful that Monifa decided to share her love with Therese on our show. We're going to talk a lot about that. And we talked a lot about it before she did it. And shout out to Therese. I haven't seen Mo and Therese. Shit. I ain't seen him in a long time. Oh no, I actually saw Mo when I was filming From the Bottom Up, but we're due for another one. So I'm glad you guys like it. It was just the first episode, so you got a chance to see the sizzle reel that sold the show, and then the actual show itself. Okay, here was another question. Let me answer another question. And for those of you who are wondering, I'm not talking about R&B Divas tonight, but I sure got an update for y'all tomorrow night, 9:30 on Nights with Nicci. So make sure you tune in. Queen by Felicia, you're welcome. Thank you for watching. Someone else had a question. He telling how he feel exactly. You cannot, even if we didn't agree with Michael's perspective on Monifa and Therese's lifestyle. I appreciate people who keep it real. I appreciate people who tell the truth about how they feel, whether we agree with it or not. And as you saw, because y'all probably watched most of the season, Michael and Therese ended up being really cool, and they, we all have everybody accepted Therese with open arms. She's just a beautiful, warm, super warm spirit. It's me 547. I miss the show too. I really do. I can't even hold you up. I miss the sisterhood. It was just so cool. I mean, as you guys can see, me and Selena, we're not always arch rivals, and we're not now. Somebody asked where we are right now. Selena and I are good now. Actually, we had a chance to Brownstone did a performance for BET. It was called BET Her Live, and Selena and I got a chance to hug it out, and she reached out to me shortly after things ended on R&B Divas. We haven't had a chance to really connect and have that one-on-one. I look forward to that because what's more important for me than the beef is just being an example of sisters being able to heal and get through stuff. So everybody's working, everybody's busy. Brownstone is on the road. Shout out, hold on, y'all. Brownstone is going to be in Detroit, Michigan next weekend with SWV and Jagged Edge. So Detroit, if you don't have your tickets, you are bullshitting. I said shit. I didn't say shit, but y'all know y'all bullshitting. So get your tickets for Brownstone SWV at the Aretha Franklin Amphitheater. And baby, we are ready. Shout out to Marcus, the Heat Miser Divine, who is our musical director. And what else is going on here? Oh my God, speaking of, I see my Tisha, we aired the sizzle reel we did for R&B Divas, and we just ended up watching the show. I don't know if you had a chance to see it. Let's see, any more questions? Thank you so much, Chad, for the standing O. I received that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Today marks the 10th. Y'all, can y'all believe it? So I really wanted to watch this episode with you all because I wanted to celebrate it. It's something that everybody who knows me knows it was a huge passion project for me. It's something that I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears literally into. And I just really wanted to share it and celebrate it because it was a beautiful show. And we reached the 10-year mark and we're all still here, right? You know, unfortunately, when you have successful situations, either TV shows or even groups, I mean, look, Maxie unfortunately is not here with us with Brownstone. So the fact that we're still here, all of us who created this amazing thing, and I say a lot that I'm the creator of the show, but it took everybody that lended their personalities and their, dynamic voices and talents to really make this thing dope. So someone asked if we would be doing a reunion. Thank you, Centennial. Congratulations on 10 years. I love all of y'all. Thank you for being you. Thank you. Love and appreciate all of you as well. But yeah, I'm excited about the future. We got a lot of dope stuff happening with Brownstone. We got this backstage pass that we're doing with Brownstone. So we're going to show y'all all the behind the scenes stuff. I'm going to see if I can get some of the other artists who are performing with us to give y'all some shout outs as well. But again, you can only get that. Well, I'm going to give it to y'all anyway. But I would like for you to go to YouTube and sign up at worth.tv. Any other questions? How can I contact you about a role for a film? You can send an email to Worth CEO, WIRF CEO at gmail.com. Worth CEO at gmail.com. If given the opportunity, would you do it again? Chad wants to know. Yeah, absolutely. I would do it again. But what I would do differently is have ownership. That's just it. You guys see me talking about it every single day. There's a reason why I talk about it like I do, because I truly believe if I still had ownership of the show, we would be into season 10. Or I did. Meach, check your email. I sent it to your Hotmail. I sent you the link. Um, but yeah, I would do it, but I would have to have ownership, partnership, period. So Faith and I would be on board as co-partners, and I would need to know that whoever. Well, a matter of fact, I wouldn't even need a middle person really at this point, because by the grace of God, streaming affords you the opportunity to do it. So I would honestly just make all of the ladies would be partners at some level in this if we were to do this again, for sure. With this particular cast, I think each time you have a new cast, you give the cast members the opportunity to have equity in it, and I think that way everybody's happy, everybody's making money, and we can keep it going. Can you please sing a little bit? I will. Keisha Johnson, thank you so much. I'm glad that you love watching this, Connie. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There will be much more coming. I just need y'all to go to worth.tv and register. Any other questions or comments I need to answer? If given the opportunity, I'll get answered. Nikki, would you like to be on a TV show again? That's from Katina. Um, I really am more interested in creating shows than I am being on them. I enjoy coming on live and talking to you guys live. I'll continue to do my podcast because I'm at a place where I really prefer to share information. And I know that that's not always as entertaining, but I'm just, like I said earlier on the live, I'm just in a place where I feel like I'm more valuable sharing my knowledge and my experiences and helping put other people on than trying to be famous. I just really don't want to be famous anymore, y'all. I'm not even gonna hold you up. I will get on that stage and rock with my sisters in Brownstone. I'll get on this IG. I'll maybe do a film or something here and there to satisfy my creative urge. but I just don't really want what goes along with being a famous person that you watch on TV every week. If you come to my page and you follow me and you see my lives and we chatting it up and sharing information and whatever, I think that's cool. I want to always control my narrative. I want to always control what is put out there. And unfortunately, when you do television, a lot of times you have to really think about advertisers and you have to think about what's fun, what's compelling, and what's going to captivate. And it's just too much competition out here lately. You have to literally show like, it's like, how naked can you get, or how ratchet can you get, or how hood can you get? And I'm just not prepared to do any of that anymore. Right? I want to teach people about the importance of developing your talent and really developing your business mind. I've learned so much over the years. I've made so many mistakes. I've made huge financial mistakes. I've made huge, what's going on here? Oh, that is my Meach that is trying to join in this conversation. Let me see. I will pick this up from this boy. There he is. Hi, Michi.
Hello.
Hello, my love. Let me see if I can loop you into this. Let me see. How am I going to do this? Let me add you. There you are. You are in this conversation with us today.
Going
All
on?
right, here. Let me move that. Hold on, Meach. You guys, I'm gonna tell y'all who this is and why I'm so geeked up about him being here on this live with me. Hold on, let me. Hi, baby. How you doing?
It's all moving and grooving, darling. What's your tea? It's the tea.
Moving and grooving. What's my tea is the tea. Okay, first of all, ladies and gentlemen, I was answering some questions. So, Mitch, okay, let me go back because some of these people have been waiting for a while. Then I'm gonna introduce the gentleman who has joined me here on my live. Do you guys see us? Didn't you guys do a season two? Yes, we did do a season two. I left after season two. Season two was my last hurrah. I did leave after that. I loved you on Martin. So Reddy Martin was one of my best experiences ever. Have you been approached by the show Encore about girl group members? I have heard that there had been some conversations about what if, but if was a fifth, we'd all be drunk. I'm not doing that at all. I'm just, you guys, I'm just not doing, hey, Soror. Guys, I'm just not doing anything that don't have ownership of anymore. I'm just not. It's just where I draw the line. I'm not doing, I mean, now there are people who could probably call me and hire me to do a really amazing project, right? But I would be doing it for the art of it and not for the check. If it's a check situation, then I need to have a percentage of ownership. If I don't have ownership, I ain't doing it. Okay, let me make sure I'm running down these questions. Email the info. The email is worth, WIRF, media.com, worthmedia.com. Okay, yes, you can be an honorary cast member, Queen Bee. Okay, let me get down to these questions. Is it possible? Okay, I think I answered everybody's questions. Now I'm going to, yes, my daddy wrote The Gladys Knight, If I Were Your Woman. Okay, Meej, I think we're towards, okay, there needs to be some type of positive representation for Black America on TV. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited to have my brother from another mother, the divine dishing host of Dishing Tea with Big Meach and all kinds of other amazing podcasts. We have known each other since high school. We have been friends for a very long time. And Meach knows intimately, like, just the hustle, the grind, a lot of the stuff, and we're both breaking this YouTube bubble. So what up, Big Meach? What it do, baby? Talk to your girl.
Oh, no good. Damn, it's 10 years already.
It's 10 years
And
already.
it seems like yesterday because, I'm one who constantly talks about the show. And of reality television, it was only R&B divas and Iyanla Fix My Life that I watched. I was not into the reality show debacle and all of that madness that carried on. So to hear that it's 10 years, girl, I'm like, wow. You know, and it's crazy because I was there. I was there when we were down at Shay's restaurant and carrying on at the underground and all that kind of stuff. When we were just before filming and carrying on and being over at your house and all that. Wow.
Yeah,
You know,
it's been, I know. So I was like, 10 years, y'all. 10 whole long years. Today, or not today. It's 12:30. Today in LA. But it seemed like, yep, Queen by Felicia, it does. It seems like just yesterday.
it,
So Meech, everybody. You, like you said, the whole thing with the faith. I showed the sizzle reel, whatever. So what do
uh,
you think looking back on the cast 10 years later? What are some of your thoughts?
girl. My thoughts were and are, at that particular time, this was groundbreaking. You know, everybody was so green and ready to get it going. And the light that we had, at the beginning of all of this it was so bright.
Yeah.
And it became a learning lesson quickly because we had to learn television. And the genre of reality TV became a nemesis to everyone, you know, because now we got to quote unquote create television and create this dynamic that was inauthentic. It didn't speak to the brand. And then it became what it became, and everybody had to unfold. And the arguments that I've had, girl, the
Tell
arguments
me
that I
about
have
the arguments
had,
you done had. Everybody done had some arguments on what you talking about?
everybody was like, okay, oh my God, why she got to be on it? I said, have you paid attention to the edit of this? Okay. Even when they go to the celebrity breakouts, the little soliloquy moments, I said, look at this. How she start here talking about the same story and then change clothes in the next episode and still in the soliloquy moment, still talking about the same exact timeline and in different clothes, different hairstyle. And there was you don't see the edit in that. You don't see how this is pitted to do this that, and the other. There's days in between this because every day wasn't a shoot. There's days in between, and I'm telling you, I've had some of the strongest arguments. You know,
It's
with
crazy.
Julie.
A lot of my friends, friends and family and people who know me have always found themselves in the middle. Listen, my sisters have literally almost gotten into knockdown dragouts. I never forget my cousin Stephanie, like, girl, they talking about you at the water cooler at work. I'm like, what are they saying? So this is the math, you guys. I have to drop this math on people every now and then, but Meets, to your point. So you guys look. So that episode was 36 minutes, I believe. Like, so let's call it 37, 38 minutes was what that episode was. So in 36 to let's round it off and let's call it 40. Let's say that the episode was 40 minutes long, right? So you got 40-minute episodes and you got 5 women per episode. And if you notice how reality TV is done, it's like you open up, you get Faith. Then you go to this part, you got Faith and Monifa. Then you got Selena and her family. Then you got me and my husband. Then you got, so in total, you might get 5 minutes total. You might get
Mm-hmm.
a 5 minute example of who we are in total per episode. If you got
Right,
8 episodes, what's 8 times 5? 8 times 5 is 40, right? Is that math
right.
right? Okay, that's right. So
That's
you see
right.
40 minutes of my life, maybe an hour of my life per season. So in 2 seasons, you might have seen 2 hours of my life because I think we
Right,
got 10. So you saw 2 hours of my life and you decided in that 2 hours that you just don't like me. I ain't shit. I had a horrible attitude. I was an awful person. I was just, and I just want, I want people to know that it's real from the perspective of like, we're real people. These are real stories. We're sharing our real shit, but it's not like a representation of who we are as a whole person.
right,
And the way,
right,
and when that shit gets dangerous is when you're in high profile litigations and people just don't
right,
want to see what it is because they don't like you because they saw you for
right,
2 hours over two
right,
seasons and decide they ain't like your ass. So yeah, it's funny that you said that because when you do the math, you know what I'm saying? You didn't
right,
watch, seasons upon seasons of Nicci Gilbert being a terror to work with. You watched literally an hour of me in season 1 total and an
right.
hour of me in season 2.
Right.
you know, and a whole
Right.
bunch of headlines that were drawn up specifically for that reason. And,
Based on sound bites. Mm-hmm.
sound bites. Like I'll never forget. Oh, Nicci Gilbert is a terror to work with. They gonna fire. Funky Geneva, we cool now. Q and I are cool now. But he ate me up every day. I'm like, they paying you to do this, bro? What's going on? So yeah, I just want people to know. As much as I love the show now, looking back and like to watch tonight's episode was really refreshing and felt awesome to see that sisterhood that we had in the beginning. But what happens when you don't have control over your intellectual property is that you get pushed out of it or it starts to change directions and it ain't really shit you can do about it. So you guys
Right.
see me on the soapbox going at it is because so let's a little bit more of Meach and our history, right? Meach and I were a part of a group in high school called La Trope des
Sure.
Arts.
It's odds, honey. Mm-hmm. That's how come y'all always see me. If y'all watching the comment, I say, "Hey, La Trope." That's why, because we have vowed, all of us within that, who are still working in this industry, some kind of capacity. We have vowed we will La Trope for life,
That's
and we
it.
are always there with one another for projects and carrying on in some capacity or another. So we still work with one another.
We
Yeah.
still work with one another. We're La Trope. And another thing, we talk about um allies, right? And we talk about, we went to a Detroit public school. We went to a school called Cody High School. If you guys saw Social Conflict, that was a short film that I did at the actual school about one of our music teachers. And it was
Right.
the subject of one of our other mutual friends, Dwayne Barnes, who directed it as well. And he, was kind enough to share, his experiences or whatever. But we had an ally who was a white, was Susan Scottish? Was she?
I forgot what her heritage is, but
I
I
think
think
she
so.
was Scottish, but she's
Yeah.
just the coolest, like
Yeah.
dopest, most creative white woman who
Yeah.
just introduced, remember she lived in Rosedale Park
Rosedale Park.
in a
We've been to our
beautiful
house.
home. Yep, we would go to her house, make costumes. And, it's interesting because the music teacher who was a black man, we would go to his house too. But
Right.
we would go to his house because it was like, oh, you got to get up early and do a competition in the morning. But he was down there molesting kids in the basement, which we didn't know about until after we all graduated and people were, confident enough to speak up about it, but yeah, he molested people that we knew. And here was this white woman who is my other mother. I wouldn't be where I am now. I think any of
Right.
us would be where we are today without her. And we're still
That's
very closely connected now. We talk all the time and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But here this white woman was, really sewing into us and really lifting us and telling us that we could be something greater than what we saw in our neighborhoods. And she demanded greatness from us. Like, remember,
That's
she was like, if you don't get that C, if you don't get a 2.5, you're
right.
going to take
You're
your ass
out,
here.
babe.
You know what I'm
Twix. You're
saying?
out.
You are out. Remember, Meach, we actually did not have, and it's a really beautiful story. And Meach and I and Peter and I, we've talked before about it would be really amazing to do a scripted series about this. So, all the vultures that are out there watching and listening and waiting for me to say some foul shit about P Valley, forget about it. I don't want to talk too much about what this story could be because we know the inside, they taking shit in a heartbeat. But just the
Right.
story of inner city kids. Meech, can you share a little bit about your life? Meech is also one of the first people in my life who from the queer LBGTQIA community. And we knew that, honey, we were theater kids. So we knew that then, you know what I'm saying? So can you talk a little bit about what that meant for you, like having that outlet for theater and, creativity
Oh,
in this story?
yes, because I was a cusser. Okay. I got into the theater department because I like to cuss. And just before Miss Story, she was Winston when she first came because she was married.
She was.
Um, just before she came, Miss Kanda was over the theater department. And when they were like, oh my God, we could cuss and stuff in here because we could do this and do that. And so 10th grade year, I said, oh, I'm getting into here because I wanted to cuss. And that's when Susan came. So I got introduced to her right at the same time as she was to the school. And what ended up happening was drama and theater, and she also was on talk debate because I was on both the theater and the debate team. Gave me the opportunity to express myself in ways that matched my personality because I have a bigger than life personality. Um, I was an upstager a lot because I'm bigger than life, and so we had to learn how to tone back. It was always give me everything, and we could always scale back. We can never bring you forward. Just take it away as far as you can, and we can always scale it back. And that has always been me. So it allowed for me to express myself in ways that I did not think that I could, or and it toughened my skin because it helped me to take the ridicule. Because as the gay person, I had to take a lot of them hits. When we had to wear the stockings, when we were doing Romeo and Juliet, I had to wear them purple stockings and carrying on, which I didn't fall in love with, so I started wearing them every day. And this is before my drag career. Um, so because of that, I had to learn how to take the hits and learn how to let theater and let the stage be my outlet for all of that. Because though I took the ridicule, I knew that eventually that I could win them over once they saw me on stage. Once I got down there and did my work and all of that, it won me over because then when I became popular, I was never one of the popular kids until theater. And then debate, because when we started winning the trophies for debate, then I became one of the popular kids. Never one of the cool kids, just popular because we were always on the stage. And so it changed my world to a degree because I was never one of the beautiful ones. I was always overweight and carrying on. And so it was never the stuff that we usually go through, being asked to the dance, all that kind of stuff. I never had all that, but theater was my outlet.
Yes, indeed. So it's interesting because we talk a lot about now. There's so many images and so many different narratives and examples of what it means to be a part of the queer or LBGTQIA community lifestyle. And I've learned that I've just like grown in my knowledge of what to say, how to say it, how to refer to people. Like now there's the they community, like you know what I'm saying? So how has the queer QIA I'm sorry, LBGTQIA lifestyle, how has it changed? Because we know we have mutual friends
Yeah,
that it wasn't as easy. It's just a different world now. So how has it changed
right.
since you were in high school and you first discovered that you were, you know, living that life?
Well, here's where it is. It's changed because I am one of the trailblazers for this generation of gay children. Okay. I and there's I was pastel colors and carrying on. I am the originator, and I feel like Little Richard. I was one of the originators, child, of being able to wear, to carry a purse and carrying on. These children now are butch queens up in pumps and purses, and walking around in daytime. Coming from the slums and of the east side of Detroit, honey, that was unheard of. And if you did, then that means that you were able to stand up for yourself, fight, or whatever the case may be, because that was what it was. If you was bold enough to be out there, then that means that you had to take whatever was coming your way. And honey, when I had hair, you to get my hair flipped and curled and carrying on. My little Anita Baker optimum perm and shit.
Yeah.
Honey, listen. And I tell this all the time because I'm from the era. Y'all getting acrylics and stuff now, but we had Lee press-ons and they had active length and glamour length. And I used to grow my own nails, and so I'm right-handed. So my right hand was my active length, and my left hand was my glamour length. And so I would file and do my own nails and carrying on. And my hands, well, now they're a little rough because I don't care to them like I used to. But I hear girls all the time, "Oh, your hands are so soft," and oh my God, you wearing nails? I said, "No, these are mine. These are young." Yes, honey. What did you do? Wash dishes. Okay, that's what I do. Okay. So I was one of the originators, and I wore pastel colors. If I had on my purple pants, I had my pink shirt on, or I would flip it the next day. I had my purple shirt and my pink pants on, or my pink pants and my baby blue shirt. You know, and looking like a big old ball of cotton candy, honey. Okay,
Yeah, you listen, and it's crazy because we had so many, like there was you and there was a few others, and it's just like we knew, and it was like it was cool, it was no big thing. But when you got out of that safe environment of like theater
yeah,
and school and stuff, what kind of things did you have to endure, just on the street, the mean streets of the D? Because I mean, it went from the F word to,
yeah.
what, he's sweet, just like,
Listen, I done had it all. We done went from the F word to he's sweet. He got sugar in his tank, your little
right, that one,
ACDC.
yeah. Not
Okay.
ACDC.
Gay Bob,
Gay
Fudge
Bob. That's
Cattle.
crazy. That's crazy.
Okay. And, we didn't had it all. But um, at that particular time, my expression was my protest. Okay.
Mm.
My expression was my protest. Now, I have been almost every expression of alphabet living there is. Okay.
So what does that
From
mean? Explain that to those of us who don't. Every expression meaning.
okay.
Mhm.
Now, what you guys have seen, you have seen the very flamboyant, you have seen the very butch, you have seen, the butch queen. Okay, you have seen the drag queen. Okay, I have done all of that except for leather, and
What is
well,
leather?
the whole leather community with the
Oh,
cap and
masochist. What you call it? Um,
yeah,
what is that
the
called?
sadomasochism children, honey.
Sadomasochism. Okay.
Okay, but a lot of us, yeah. A lot of that is for the look. A lot of people are into the leather community, but most of it is for look. They really have not committed to the lifestyle itself because of out of fear what it means and carrying on. Black children who are into it, honey, there's a whole community. If ever I hear of Onyx, and when it's talking about the leather community, that there is the black version of the leather community or the black community of it.
Okay.
And so getting into it's a lot and it becomes tedious and carrying on. But I have dealt with all of those particular expressions. And so now the children nowadays, you know, what the fear for us old fogies is that we don't know what their fight is. Okay, because we did all the fighting. See, we fought for y'all to be out, to live out loud, and to be proud, and this, that, and other. Now we got kids coming out as young as 9 years old or whatever. They're coming out as trans. And carrying on. So we've created that space, but now that the space is here, we don't know how to help navigate it because a lot of times we feel the kids are going too far or they're doing too much. Now we got all these damn pronouns and this, that, and the other that a lot of us don't understand.
So y'all don't
So
understand it in your community too. It's not just the cis and the
no,
straight
no, no,
folks.
no,
Because
no, no.
I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, what was that? Okay, what letters? Okay.
But here's where it is, and that's because it's young.
Okay.
See, right now, what we have to do is step back and listen to where we've given them the baton, but now we got to watch them run the race.
Mm.
You know, we're not paying attention because a lot of us, you know how it is. When you're not paying the baton and you tired of running, girl, if you ask when you're going to go grab your asthma pump, you're trying to get a cup of water. The child is
Like they
running.
say
You
on
ain't
the
worried
flight,
about
save
these
yourself before you try to
yeah,
save the child.
okay.
Right.
We ain't looking to see what's going on with the race. We trying to get the child and wipe the sweat off of us and all that kind of
Mm-hmm.
jazz. But now we are at a point to where we have to listen to where the fight is, and that's my goal now. Because at first I say if y'all add one more damn letter to this acronym, honey, I'm gonna shoot y'all. Okay, because it makes that's because you hear me say the alphabet children. I ain't got time to go
So you can say
LGBTQIA.
alphabet children because I didn't know if alphabet children was considered derogatory.
I say it, and I don't give a damn if it is or not because I'm
No,
not
but
saying.
you can say it, baby.
I,
Somebody
yeah,
else
yeah,
say
yeah.
alphabet children, and they're like,
I'll
what?
say the alphabet children, honey, and so I've heard alphabet soup, honey, because that's basically what it has become. Just because I tell folks all the time, if we gonna go through all that, then we might as well add the S for straight. Okay, If we gonna add the letter, then add the S for straight and just be done with it. So right now,
That's too much like right.
okay. And so now at this particular stage of the game, like I said, we have to listen to what their fight is. And right now the fight is more inclusion and more so accepting me in all of my wholeness. So now that you accept it and I'm gay, but understand my expression. So yes, ask me what my pronouns are. Don't just assume because I'm a butch queen that I want to be called girl. No, my pronouns are he, him, he is. Okay, or whatever the case may be. Or I may be, non-binary, which I'm still trying to understand
Right. Okay.
because,
So then let me go there. Okay. Okay. Help me understand this. Help me
uh-huh,
understand this. So it's interesting because I said I wasn't talking about P Valley tonight, but you said non-binary, and it's a very important point that I have to bring up because I have a whole update that I'm giving y'all on P Valley tomorrow.
okay,
You good, Kato? My dog is tripping. So when I created this character, Tata Burlesque, and Meech also intimately knows everything connected to Soulkins Cabaret because,
yeah,
like I said, as one of the first people from the queer LB alphabet community
uh,
that I've known in my life from 14 years old, you know what I'm saying? Um, he also has had influence over the Tata Burlesque character because at the end of the day, when you meet people that have these amazing outward personalities and so but anyway, that's a whole nother conversation.
right,
Back
right,
to the question of non-binary. Let me stick to the subject at
uh-huh,
hand, right? So one of the things, and this is public, so this isn't slander or some crazy shit that they can call my attorneys again about. But one of the things that they're saying is the reason why they don't believe that they don't believe Tata Burlesque and Uncle Clifford are the same because in their eyes, Uncle Clifford is non-binary and Tata Burlesque is just gay. And I was trying to explain to them that non-binary wasn't a word when I wrote Tata Burlesque
exactly,
in 2003 and 2004. And
right,
also the expression of the character, right? He's described
right,
as a flamboyant drag queen. So what is the
right,
difference between a flamboyant drag queen, which Tata Burlesque is described as, and someone who is
uh-huh.
non-binary? Please tell me what
Well,
that means. How do you differentiate?
right now we differentiate non-binary because according to what the kids are teaching me, non-binary means I am not binding myself to one or the other gender role that society has deemed to be normal. Okay, I'm free to express myself how I wish to express myself. And that there is a little different from being bisexual because this is not non-binary, has nothing to do with sexuality. It's about expression. Okay. And that there is what I'm learning. So to say that I'm non-binary but I'm bisexual, that there is two separate is the same like we have trans children who are they're transgender, but like a trans woman who dates women, you know. And a lot of folks
Okay.
get confused about it because they're like, okay, well, why are you changing? If you was a man who want to live as a woman, why you
Why are
still
you
date women?
dating
Don't you want to
women?
be with a man?
Right,
You
right.
know,
So then would
and
that
so
make okay, so does a trans woman who dates this look, and I'm asking a real question, this sounds crazy. Is a trans woman who dates women gay?
that would be
I
considered
mean,
that,
not
yes.
gay, lesbian.
Right. That would be considered that, yeah. Yeah. Because she identifies as a woman. So I'm a woman who is sexually attracted to a woman. So boom. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it gets that way, but this here is what the fight is for our young children because the new generation, they're fighting to so that all these different compartments and everything doesn't have the corner walls that we used to. You know how the little cubicles have the little wall, but we're trying to have the cubicles but clear walls and without divider lines, you know. And that there is what I'm hearing that this new generation fighting for. I hear it, and we have to allow that voice to be heard. Oftentimes us old fogies want the fight to happen, but we want our voices to come out of their mouths, but we're not running
Ooh, that's deep. That's deep.
it. Yeah,
That is deep. Um, so let me ask you this question, because I believe that people should definitely be free to live however they choose and identify themselves however they choose, right? It is
Mhm.
hard to swallow sometimes when you have like really young kids who make the decision to be this or that. But did you know, like, early on in your life, that you were a part of the alphabet community? Did you know that at like 10 and 15, and like how some of these kids are? You did.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, and I'm glad you said 10, because it was at 10 years old that I started reading everything that had the word homosexual in it.
Mm.
I read every book that I got my hands on. I got teased. Oh God, I remember being in the sixth grade. I had this anatomy book. Um, and right in the center, it had the male and the female naked bodies. It was drawn, hand drawings. But somebody had stole my book from me. You know how you play the snatch game and all that.
Hmm.
And we were in the auditorium, and he got up on the stage and said, "Look what he reading," and flipped the book open to that. Oh my God.
What?
Oh, I was
Oh, that's terrible.
mortified.
Yeah.
I was mortified. Okay. But at the same time, I'm still trying to understand what was going on, because, see, even when I was younger, as young as 5, I remember how watching me and mow the lawn with no shirts on, how my hands would get clammy. My palms would start sweating, and I never
Wow.
understood why. And I always felt fascinated to look. That's when I knew I was a breast man, because I like to see men's chests and carrying on, and that always fascinated me. I,
Wow.
of course, I never knew it was anything sexual at the time. But I stared, honey. I look, and I love a big boy. I've always been into big guys. So that has always been the thing. Of course, as I got older and started to put some things together, I realized what it was. I had my first boyfriend when I was 12.
You had your first boyfriend at 12, Meech?
Summer romance, honey, summer 1982, right there on Newport.
Really?
I lived at Mac and Newport, baby. Yes, I did.
Did you
30,
tell, so what moment in your life, what moment did you tell your mom that you were in the alphabet
I was
community?
16.
You were
I was
16? Were
16,
you
sick.
scared? Were
Huh?
you scared?
Yes, because I was sick. And I don't know if you remember this. I had missed my entire first semester of
I
my
remember
senior
you
year.
were really sick. I remember. Yep. Hmm.
That's when I told my mom, because at that time there was a movie out called An Early Frost. That was the very first movie that was made about HIV/AIDS. And in that movie, the doctor told the guy that you got this rare form of pneumonia, you know, and that's I was told that very same thing. That I had this rare form of
Wow.
pneumonia, and my heart hit my feet. It just bounced all in my chest like 5 times. I was like, oh my God, because I was sexually active at that time. But what had happened was he was just a general practitioner. I was 16 at the time, and so they transferred me over to an adolescent care doctor. And so it was after a month, because my mom was like, you ain't telling me something. I said, what you mean? She said, no, the doctor said you're supposed to be better by now. And it's been a month and you done got worse. She said, something you ain't telling me.
You
Mm-mm.
think your
She
mother
said,
always knew? I mean, because I knew you never,
yeah,
you never came to me and said, "Hey, I'm gay."
yeah,
I knew you were gay, and I feel like all of our
yeah.
friends knew, like, or funny, or whatever you want to call it at the
Right,
time
that's
that we called
right.
it. So you
Right.
think your mother knew all along?
Yeah, yeah, she did, because she thought it was her fault. Okay. She always thought it
Oh.
was her fault, because when I was a kid, I used to be her wig head. When she used to comb over, we used to carry. Yeah, she would put them on my head, and she would style them on. And I thought nothing of it, right? I thought
Right.
nothing of it. My mother would put her stockings on. I always loved how the stockings made her legs feel. So I was always rubbing her legs with the stockings and things. And of course, everybody knows I am Wonder Woman down. So, when Wonder Woman came out, who my father introduced me to, now,
Really?
my father introduced me to Wonder Woman. Now, that's the gag. Okay. Yeah, that's the whole gag. My father saw this white woman who nobody knew was Latina. Okay. So this white woman in a bathing suit with big old tatas, honey, and was like, So as a man, I'm his firstborn child. So he's trying to,
Get you to
watch
see the
this
white, right, right, right.
not knowing I wanted to be her. Right. Yes, God. Okay.
Oh shit! I wasn't ready for that. Oh my god, that's funny.
all
Mm-mm.
all of my life I have been, and so many always ask this about feminine expressive gay men. What is this thing? Why y'all like women so much? Because a lot of us who express ourselves in the feminine see the strength of a woman. It's that sisterhood. It's always been. See, a woman can sit down and can give you all the feminine luster and carrying on, honey, and allures of a man. When it comes time to take care of business, honey, she could kick ass, honey. And then when it's all said and done, she flips her hair back into place as if nothing happened. Put her earrings back on, bitch, and put her gloves on, honey, and grab her purse. And it's time, oh! That is sickening,
Yeah,
right? That
yeah.
is sickening. And that there is what we attribute to. We admire and adore the strength of women. All of the female superheroes were always smarter than their male counterparts. They always took care of business. Okay, always. Batgirl came in. Listen, Batgirl was a new character. She came in, kicked ass, left on her motorcycle, changed her clothes, and came back as Barbara Gordon. I'm like, what happened?
Right, yeah. So let me ask you this. Okay, so obviously when we were in high school together, it was a whole thing. So you found out back to the story about when you were sick. So
Yeah,
I remember
yeah,
you missed a lot of school,
yeah.
and so what ended up because I think I remember us. I recall us knowing that like it was like you had some form of pneumonia or something, didn't
It
you?
was
Didn't you?
pneumonia. It was called
Right,
mycoplasma pneumonia.
right.
And
Okay.
what it was rare, but it was common for teenagers. And that's what, when we changed doctors, that's what got me better because they had me on the wrong medicine. So my doctor, Dr. Kason Story over there at Henry Ford Hospital, she was the one to get me regulated. She said, yeah, it's a rare pneumonia, but it's common amongst teenagers.
Right.
You know,
And here you are
and
thinking you about to just be done.
girl, listen,
Yeah.
I thought I
You
really
thought you like
did.
I done seen sometimes it snows in April. I'm ready to,
Right.
right. Hmm.
And that was when I told my mother, because she was like, "There's something you ain't telling me." And I said, "Okay." And she said, "Wait a minute." She said, "Are you sexually active?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." And then she said, "With men or with women?"
Ooh.
And of course, for her to ask me that question, she knew. She just wanted me to
She
hear it.
wanted right, yeah.
And
Mhm.
so wanted me to say it. And so I said, "With men." And then up under her, she said, I knew it. I knew it. Then comes question number 3 that always makes me laugh.
What'd she say?
Question number 3 was, well, are you the man or the woman?
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Whoo, baby, them Detroit mamas,
honey,
honey. Them Detroit mamas will say anything, honey.
at the
Lord.
and this here, see, the whole thing about gay
Wow, that's
culture,
funny.
and
Oh
when it
Lord.
comes down to it, everybody can handle as long as I'm the top. Well, see, now the language is there, so
Right.
I'm the
Okay,
top.
like as if
Okay,
it's not as bad if
know,
you're the
it's not
top
as
or the
bad
bottom.
because you
Right.
don't realize the strength is in the bottom, bitch. But okay. However,
I hate you. Y'all know we've been friends since high school. That's okay.
okay,
Sorry. Let's pull it together now for these people. Yeah.
at the
Jesus.
same time, at
Right.
that time, I was a total top at that particular
You
time.
were a total
Okay.
top. Okay.
I was a total top then. Um, and so that gave her a sense of calm and relief. when I said I was the man. Because when parents hear that, the first thing that they think about their child is, oh my God, he wants to be a woman and this, that, and other. And it's not that we want to be women, it's just that oftentimes we express ourselves as the feminine, but we're very comfortable with our boy. I'm comfortable with my boy.
And
It took
not
me a long time.
okay. Go ahead.
It took me a long time to be comfortable with my masculinity. Okay,
Explain
because of what
that.
it represents. The what masculinity represent, how it was represented to me in my life was always toxic. It was always, brute. It always had to deal with brute strength. It always dealt with, I had to have this harem of girls or whatever. It was always about being not, there was no sense of accountability or responsibility in what I saw. And that included my father. Okay.
Was your
Um,
father a womanizer?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes. And part of why he and my mom divorced is because what he was doing, he was accusing her of doing. Okay, and my mother wasn't doing all
Projecting.
that, but that was him. With his buddies and his friends and his brothers, because he and my uncles would go out and get drunk and high and end up at the titty bar somewhere, and you finger popping somebody or trying to have your way with them and carrying on. Yes, yes. Okay, yes.
So then let me ask you this. As a young man growing up with a father who was kind of hyper masculine, right? I guess a
Mhm, mhm.
womanizer, and uncles who kind of lived that life. Do you think your dad knew? Do you think that your dad knew about your lifestyle? I mean, if your
Yes,
mother kind of knew, so you think your dad knew.
yes.
So,
I'll give you this story.
okay.
I tell this story often because this is when I became deathly afraid of my mother.
Oh,
Okay. My dad was drunk and he came into the house and he was just in one of those fits. And so he argued with mama and my mother just did not feel it, right? And so she sat down at the table. She said, Larry, I don't feel like doing all this today. I'm tired and I don't feel all this. So daddy went in the kitchen and he barking and barking. So mama had cooked and he picked up the cornbread out the skillet and he was getting him a piece. When he lifted it up, he was like, why you always burning the damn cornbread? She said, what? Why the bottom of the cornbread always darker than the top? She said, Larry, that's the butter at the bottom of the pan. And so he barking, and my mother was sitting in the chair as she put her hands on her hips and she rolled her eyes. Woman, don't you roll your eyes at me. And mama got up from the chair and she was going to walk into the den. My dad came from behind and he snatched her backwards by her necklace. And he snatched her. And when she turned around, he hit her. And that started it, right? So they got to really boxing in front of me. They ended up in the kitchen, and that's when I saw my mother. My mother is 5'11" and a half, 6 feet tall. My dad is 6'1", 6.5. Okay, 6'1" and a half. She picked him up by his throat and she threw him over the kitchen table. And then she flipped the table over him.
that's that superwoman strength that mamas be getting when them niggas be talking.
And I said, okay, when I tell you that was it, because Wonder Woman just took down Superman, I was done, right? Well, they still going and they still going and they still going, and it sounded really bad. And I'm at the table. I was scared to death and carrying on. Daddy left. He went outside. I went to the bathroom to go check on mom and to see. And she, had a cold compress and carried on, doctoring her wounds. And I don't know why. I heard the door open. And I don't know what in it said for me to scurry back to my chair, but I did. And at that time, the screen door had a glass window inset. Now I saw his shadow. I didn't know he could still see inside, okay, or whatever. However, he saw me scurry back to my chair. My dad came over to me and he picked me up by my collar and lifted me, and I was eye to eye with him. And he looked at me. He said, "Are you a punk?" And I said, "No." And he got to shaking me. I said, "Are you a motherfucking punk?" And I said, "No." He said, "I know goddamn well you ain't, because I ain't got no punks in my family." And he threw me.
What?
When he threw me, I was airbound, and I hit the chair and I fell. That's when round two started, because my mother came out that
She
bathroom. She
turned
said,
into the
"Motherfucker,
exorcist.
don't
Uh-huh.
you ever put your hands on my child like that." And honey, baby boo, that's what I said. That was the night that I became deathly afraid of my mother, because the impossible happened. She took my daddy down.
Damn.
That was the impossible. My father had a reputation on the east side of Detroit. So the northeast side, 7 Mile and Chrysler, the Adams family over there, that's my family. My family had a reputation, and my father's name is the name that everybody was afraid of. And my
Because they
mother
didn't know your mama name yet.
down. And so that was that. So yeah, my father
Wow.
it was always that. And then they had another real bad fight because I lost a fight in front of him.
You
I
lost a
got mad.
fight in front of
I lost
him and
a
he
fight in front of my daddy because I didn't feel like fighting. I did not want to fight. That boy kicked my he kicked my ass. Oh, he beat my ass. And it was in front of my dad. And I was
and
all
your
kinds
dad
of
watched somebody beat your ass? Well,
yeah.
okay. All right, I guess.
It was a kid's fight, honey. It was a kid's fight. And me and my girl in my prom picture, Miss Desiree, we were living in a 2-family flat. She was we both of us were fighting. She fought one boy, I fought his brother, however that went. She won hers. I didn't want to fight. I didn't feel like fighting, and I got my ass whooped. And my dad was embarrassed, and he called me all kinds of faggots and carrying on. And
What?
yes, yes, yes. And at that point, my dad took his foot and kicked me, literally kicked me in my ass. And that's when Mama Bear came back out and threw my daddy down the steps. Okay.
That is crazy. So what's crazy is like you had all that trauma going on at home because it's trauma.
Yeah,
Like we can laugh about the shit now, but
yeah,
like
yeah.
we
Growing up
all
in
had the
honey,
trauma going on, and just being
yeah,
able to express yourself creatively. And it's funny because I never knew any of that. Like we didn't share those kinds of intimate details. Occasionally something would come up and we would know something was going on in one of our lives or whatever, but just the fact
right.
that you were dealing with all that. So did your father ever did you ever come to term did he ever come to terms with who you are and your lifestyle?
Yes. Oh, girl, yeah, 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 yeah. It came because I had a dream. I had a dream that my father saw me going into a club. Okay. That dream was so vivid that
Minjos?
so, no, not Minto, no, it wasn't Mintos. We had a club on 7 Mile and Woodward. The downstairs part was called the gas station. The upstairs part was called Heaven. And the gas station was the white club. Heaven was the black club. Um, and in my dream, it was so vivid because it was so real. In my dream, I'm standing outside in the line to go in the club, and my father was at the gas station, and he saw me and called my name. And I went over to him, and he knew what the club was, and that's how I told him in the dream. And I said, "Okay, it's time to tell him." So I went over. He was at home with my grandmother at the time, and I went over there and I sat him down and I told him, "This is who I am." And I told him, and this is ironically is 6 years after telling my mother.
Wow.
Okay, yeah,
Wow.
I told my mom when I was 16. Daddy got it when I was 22. So, and I was like, and I told him I didn't feel he had a right to it. I didn't think that I owed him that because you wasn't there. And far as I was concerned, the way how you tormented my life, child, I wasn't going to give you that. And my dad told me, he said, "Well, you still my son. I still love you." And that floored me because I thought this was going to be a whole big to do.
Wow.
Because I
Wow.
was actually nervous. But yeah, I thought it was going to be a whole big old to do. But my dad said, "No, you my son, and I still love you." Okay, so okay, it's what it is. But over time, he has some growth in that because when I was a kid, that was unacceptable. He was not having that.
And what's crazy is that, like your mother, he probably knew. Like, I mean, we all see little kids and we're like, you would never be like, oh,
Yeah,
he's this or he's that, because again, people make
they
those
knew.
decisions for themselves. But they knew. So let me ask you this. So, like, you were talking about the kids of today and
Yeah,
how you don't know what their fight is, and you said we've done a lot of that fighting, right? Like, I
yeah,
know specifically, like, we have people, I know people I love that we know that have tried to hurt themselves because they didn't want
yeah,
to be who they
yeah,
were.
yeah,
I'm talking about, right?
yeah.
And who have had to live secret lives that have just really had suffered. And
Yeah.
nowadays it seems like, although it's not as widely accepted as the community would like for it to be, it seems like it's a whole lot more accepted. That lifestyle is a lot more accepted now than it
Hmm.
was then. Like you said, your father beat you up and called you a punk and knew, you know what
Right.
I'm saying? And like so many other people couldn't tell your mom, and your mom's like, do you think that the kids now have it a different kind of hard, or are they just kind of leaning more on the experiences that y'all had, and that's not really what their authentic experiences are? And they're just like, because it just feels like some people, it genuinely feels, let me figure out how to say it, because I got to say this shit right, because you got to be careful about this alphabet
Right,
shit. So
right,
I'm an
right.
ally. Oh, a lot of my friends are gay. This is one of them I'm talking to
Okay.
right now. So I'm trying to learn. So do you think that some of them are using it as an excuse to push the envelope even farther, or you know what I'm trying to say? Does it,
It's
because it don't
all
seem
of
like they
the
have it as
above.
hard as y'all did.
It's all of the above, darling. It's all of the above because you have that sector that want to be out there. Even in my generation, we had that sector that wanted to be grand and ostentatious, just to do it, just to be doing it. Just to the shock value. Remember, we're the generation of Howard Stern,
Shock jocks. Yeah.
and Morton Downey Jr. We're that generation where it was all about the shock value. Okay. And so we still have that in another form. What can I do now? And see, now we have it on as reality TV because now it's all about being famous because I'm doing it for the likes. I'm doing it for, to be famous. So I can
So
get
it
a
is
silly
it
put
is
up.
becoming more like it feels like, okay, not to cut you off, but it feels like where
Right?
y'all had, like you said, I knew when I was 10 that I was
Yeah.
the alphabet person. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you
Right.
and you had to struggle with that. It wasn't something that you was just, but now it seems like it's trendy. Like, it doesn't just seem like
Yeah. Yeah.
everybody is having that struggle. It feels to me sometimes like
Yeah.
it's like, well, if I put on a little extra hard for, and a little, so it's not just us. It's not
No.
just straight
No.
people who are like, now come on now.
No.
You
No. No. No.
being
No. 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 No.
extra gay right now.
See, and it's funny that you say that because see, I feel as though this is the '90s all over again
Oh
because
wow, how so?
in the '90s, that was exactly my thought because at one point in the '90s we had the metrosexual.
Right,
That was the new little term, honey. Oh, he's metro.
right.
And then all of a sudden, because we had gay pride starting and rainbow flags, everybody who wanted to be allied, allies with it, all of a sudden it became like this fad to say that I was gay.
Right,
You know,
right.
it became this, and then it only lasted for a couple of seconds, and then all of a sudden now, oh, this is just a phase. I was because remember we had that era to where oh, this is just a phase,
I'm
and
not
blah blah
gay
blah
no
blah.
more.
Right? Okay, okay. We had that, and then what piggybacked off of that was all of a sudden now everybody had a sexual addiction.
Mm,
Okay,
mm-hmm.
and so all of that became like that there became the talk or the thing to do or the thing to be or whatever the case may be. Now that we're here, we have social media and what reality TV has done. And I'm so thankful that y'all did do. Thank God y'all did not do this on R&B Divas. Y'all didn't have the resident gay who was the comic relief.
Man, listen, I listen. And then
Thank
like
oh my
everybody
God, thank
having the gay isms. Like, listen,
yeah,
you, Jason, Peter, honey, y'all
right,
listen. Have you watched Betty Davis, honey? Do you know who Norma Desmond is? Like y'all schooled
right,
us on, but it just seemed like, ugh, child. They just, I hate to
right.
use the word, but it's like that F hag. It just seemed
Oh,
like it was just
well, now they're called fruit flies.
I hate you.
Okay,
Oh.
yeah, they're fruit flies now. I mean, fruit flies. Right. Okay.
Oh my God, I can't stand you. Okay, so now we call them fruit flies. Well, now
Yeah.
everybody, it's like on trend to just be the fruit fly or like the extra. It's like who can be the gayest? And I understand. Listen, y'all, I know it sounds terrible. And listen, thank God I'm having this conversation with you. Because if I was having this conversation with a straight person, I'd be getting ate up right now. I can have this
Okay.
conversation with you and you can educate us on what we should and should not say. But I'm just like, it's like you tiptoe. And the other thing I wanted to ask you real quick connects to your father before I forget.
Uh-huh.
Do you understand, as somebody who had an experience who it took forever for you to kind of share with your parents what your lifestyle was, do you understand or relate on some levels to parents, specifically fathers, who might feel a little, it's kind of like, to me it's kind of the same thing as like a man who wants a boy child and he gets a girl, right?
A girl,
So do you
right,
feel, you know what I mean? So do you
right.
feel, is that an excuse anymore? Like, can straight men be disappointed if, as much as you accept your kids, I
Oh,
applaud, people, Dwayne Wade, and people who accept their children. I think it's a beautiful thing to
uh-huh.
accept them. But is it okay for a straight like James Evans' dad to be like, "You're not gay," or is that just the most awful thing you can be?
I'm going to say something that's going to trip folks out. Okay. And this is something that we have to accept and we have to deal with. And one of the things that we have to accept is that a parent is going to have a grieving moment because their hopes and dreams for what they thought their child was going to be dies at that moment. So we have to allow them,
Wow. Say that one more time.
okay, what all the parents' hopes and dreams of what they thought their child was going to do, how they tried to chart out their life, and this, that, and the other. What they thought it was going to happen dies at the moment where the child goes against what their regimen was supposed to be. So we have to
Wow.
allow that parent an opportunity to now adjust and accept what just happened. Now, just like it took us forever to come out and understand who the hell we are or whatever, we have to allow parents the same time. We can't just sit down there and say, "Oh, well, honey, accept me as I am," and blah blah. I think that because I done told you something that it's the law. Because just like it took me to time to process, the parent need that same time to process. Okay. So now, because they're going through the same issues. What the church gonna say? What are my religious beliefs? Oh my God, all this out there with my child. Is my child going to be safe? Oh my God, oh, he gay. I'm not gonna have no grandchildren. What does that? Okay. All of that. They got to sit down, they got to come to grips with all of that, change idea, learn some things. Because just because I'm gay don't mean I don't want to have children. There's other ways of doing this to carry it on. I don't have any biological children, but honey, I'm a mother of a house. Okay. And carry it on, honey. And hell, I just lost one of my babies, honey. My baby that
I'm
was living with
sorry.
me, honey. I lost him a year ago. And that done killed me to my heart because yeah, and he, he had a second
Sorry.
father. I actually had a baby daddy. Okay. And carrying on, but we lost our son over some bullshit, and I'm still that. Yeah,
I'm
and
sorry.
that's real.
Yeah.
That there is real, but there are other ways that we can have children. There's a lot of children who still have biological children.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so parents have got to learn and shift and become educated about what all this means versus what they thought it was, because they go horror and things. And so now they have to take time to educate themselves. So a dad, specifically men, and let me talk about black men, because that's the only thing I know. Okay. When it comes down to us, we're coming from post-traumatic slave disorder,
Mm.
okay, and stress and trauma of lineage of what our people have gone through. We have come through affirmative action. We have come through what it is hard out here being a black man trying to get a job and this, that, and the other. Then on top of it, I'm not the most masculine. So now, not being masculine, not being seen as a man, then you say you're gay on top of it. Then the world is up against you. A father who sees all that feels as though he has failed his child. Okay. And so now he's got to find out the whole what did I do wrong? Did I spend enough time? Maybe I should have threw a football with him. I'm not into sports. That was my brother. My brother was a sportsman. Okay, you didn't see you wasn't even there to take time to learn who the fuck I was, to understand all that. But now that you do, let's start here. I'm theater. Okay, I'm arts, I'm this, let's do that. I like to write, I like to sing. But the first time my father heard me sing, I was singing it to a tape recorder. I was singing um uh Stevie Wonder's "Isn't She Lovely?" and I did Stephanie Mills' "Never Knew Love Like This," and my father didn't know that was me in the tape recorder.
Wow.
He's like, "Who is this?" I said, "That's me. That ain't you." I said, "Daddy, that's me. Sing." And when I sung it, oh my god, you
Wow.
know.
That's deep.
So that kind of thing. So we have to allow parents and fathers, particularly, the opportunity to grieve, because what their ideal was or what they thought was they're going to have for the child is that died until they learned it's been altered. It didn't necessarily die, it just shifted. Because for those who wanted their kids to go into sports or whatever, there's a lot of gay children who are into sports.
Oh, tell me about
Okay,
it. Mm.
you
Mm.
know,
Tell me
we got a
about it.
whole
It's a
gay
lot of that. Yeah.
league, and the whole gay game, which is the gay Olympics, is just that. So it just takes time for everybody to come around and to deal with it and to properly deal with it and get rid of all the isms and the schisms and carrying on the blah 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 blah. If y'all ever watched the Have and Have Nots, the character on there, Veronica's son, and I can't think of her husband's name, but when he went upstairs and he was cool with his son being gay, but then he walked in on his son having sex, and that threw him because he was like, "Oh my God, wait a minute!" And to actually see it, it tore his head up. Right?
Right, right, right.
It tore his head up. But then he had to come because now you could give me a minute. He had to process that because you knew it ain't what you thought it was, and then to see it, then you got to say, "Oh my God, this is real. There ain't no phase of blah 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 blah
It's
blah."
just in your
So
face. Yeah.
yeah, it's in your face, unintentionally because hell, I'm in my room privately. You come walking in, not knocking, not
See
nothing, and
what you
you
see,
brought
baby. You see what you
you
see.
brought what you
I want to
brought. Okay,
ask.
that's it.
Is there are a couple people on our live? Javon, shout out to Javon Stevens who's been really active in here. I just want to read his comment. He
Yeah,
said, yeah, some people are disappointed because behind closed doors and in public they make it okay, but inside the parent is tarnished inside. He also
yeah,
says, but it's hard for parent or even a family member to understand and accept us. And I grew up in church and I didn't get
yeah,
bashed, but you did feel my family looked at me differently. I could
differently.
tell their
Uh-huh.
body language. He said, we're really in a time of change, um, a time of pain, and some are still struggling. That's what I'm sorry, some are still struggling. That's where the mental illness, especially a gay man, plays a part.
Exactly.
So you know, I've said I wasn't going to go into this, but it's just a natural progression of the conversation. So it's interesting because I see a lot. Thank you, Javon. And if anybody else has any questions or comments, feel free. But and I'm gonna get off here in a minute. I always say that. But so my
And don't
question,
be scared. Don't be scared because
don't be
it's
scared. This is the time. Listen, Meech and I have known each other since high school. He is one of the realest, coolest, most transparent, authentic people I know. And the reason why I wanted to have this conversation with him is because, it's we've got uncles and brothers and cousins and black men, to your point, Javon, black gay men are having problems, black straight men are having problems, black confused men are having problems. Just our black community as a whole is in a place where mental illness, not mental illness, but mental health, right, is being challenged everywhere, right? So I have to ask this question because I mean, obviously, I'm in the middle of a major
right,
litigation, and the character that I honestly, I'm not even gonna hold you guys up. I'm gonna be really honest with you and say, and it's interesting, Meech, me, you, and Monifa need to have this call. I mean, this conversation as well, because I would like the female perspective as well. But
hmm
Tata Burlesque is probably one of the proudest moments in terms of just being a writer that I have, because it was a character that when I wrote it in 2004, you just did not see the representation. You know what I'm saying? Like, it
right,
wasn't, you
right,
saw a few places here and there, but you just didn't see the representation of the alphabet community, right? And
right.
I prided myself in that. But one of the things that I've struggled with here with this P Valley thing, and maybe you can help me understand it. And I know we're not going to be able to unpack this entire thing on this live tonight. So maybe tomorrow
Right.
night you can jump on, or another time you can jump on with me and
Okay.
expound. But I wrote a character based on, like I said, you, Trent Roberts, Jason, Lawanda, who was the transgender who did. She was like my first actual, transgender example of someone. Like,
Uh-huh.
I was like 9 or 10, and she was doing my hair, and I was like, wow, her voice is deep. You know what I'm saying? It was the first time, and I was like, oh, and my mom's like, well, and tried to explain it to me, and I didn't really gather it, but I was fascinated.
Right.
Like.
Right.
So now we have Uncle Clifford in P Valley, and we have
Mm-hmm.
Lil Murder in P Valley, right?
Right.
And let me make sure I say this right, because when I start talking about P Valley, two things happen: the algorithms change, and then the folks come on and start waiting for me to say something they can call my lawyers about. But here it is. When I see, like, I did not watch season 2, contrary to
Okay.
popular belief. I did not watch one complete episode of season 2, just because I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to send myself through the emotional,
Right.
turmoil of going through that. But a lot of people would either like hit me and say, "Hey, listen, did you see this?" Or, Brandy watches it. I have family members who watch it. People watch the show. I don't expect people to not
Yeah,
watch
I
the
watch.
show. Right. I'm not trying to affect the cast members on the show back, because they not that, I'm not trying to get money from them. They can go get as much money as they need to. And for the record, let me say this real quick: I'm not impacting season 3 of this show. They had the chest stuck out when they did season 2. They could stick it out farther and do season 3, because they're gonna need to raise some money. Should I take all of it, and the judge decides that's how it goes? Should it happen, allegedly, right? But when I look at these characters and I look at the relationship, because I did watch season 1, I feel like there is this message that, and I'm just gonna say it because I feel like I'm in a safe space on here with you, and you
Mm-hmm.
can correct me, and I don't mean to offend anybody from the community. I'm just gonna say it because this is the only way I really know how to say it. I
Okay.
feel like there is this message in that story that, as beautiful as it is to see a love story between two black men told, on TV, right? I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it's so sexual, and like
Uh-huh.
explicitly sexual. And I
Uh-huh.
think that gay love is a lot more than just, it's like, I saw a lot of like banging and a lot of, you know what I'm saying? I'm
Right.
like, and I
Right.
know that, the excuse that we don't see it on TV, we haven't seen it, and these depictions need to
Right.
be there, and they give people life, and they make people feel like they can live their lives. But I don't like it when I see a woman getting her back blown out every other scene on TV. You know what I'm saying? I
Uh-huh.
just don't think that I think that to send the message that you show a person how much you love them by having this like wow, sex every 5 minutes, you know what I'm saying? In heat all the
Right.
time. And I think that with black women, they think that we're hypersexual and they think that, because you're a stripper, you just a sex fiend, not that you're a struggling mom trying to work your way through school or get a building or get your
Right.
kid. You know what I'm saying? If you're a gay man and you're doing all this banging, banging, you know what I'm saying? It's like, no, show the love in the relationship and figure out another way to translate it that doesn't require so much hypersexual activity because there's already this stigma on black people and sexuality when it comes to both gay men and black women. And I feel like
Mhm.
great storytelling and great love stories do not require. Man, Lady Sings the Blues, that love story between Diana Ross and Billy D. Williams was one of the greatest love
Right.
stories I've ever seen in my entire life. Moving into Mahogany again. The
Right.
sexiest shit ever is Diana Ross and Billy D. Williams. Man, when he walked past her and she was on that toilet strung out, and he said, "When I come back, I don't want to find you here." I was
Oh,
like, "No, don't leave her."
right.
So is it me just being a prude? Do we need to see that kind of sexual expression in order to really understand and like highlight gay life and gay love?
Well, here's where it is. We don't need to see it. I'm glad that it's there because it gives us an opportunity to have this kind of conversation. Because what the broader conversation becomes, do we need sexuality, period? Because I'm gonna tell you, I've seen both seasons and carrying on. And I've done my commentaries on what is going on. Okay. Sexually, to see I think that anything longer than maybe 30 seconds of a sex scene, honey, is entirely too long. Okay, as far as shooting, because we get it. I don't need to know, you know, that you grab the condom, you put the lube on. I don't need to know all of that because now this has become soft porn. Okay.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We get the fact if y'all kissing and you rubbing and carrying on and you start to take each other's clothes off, we get the okay, y'all finna do the do. I don't need to see all of what's happening because you already set that up. Okay. But because we live in a world now of creating television and creating a buzz, that there is what's going to be the clickbait because somebody's going to take that particular scene and blast it on Twitter. Did y'all see this? Listen, we did that with Ruthless. When Tyler Perry showed frontal nudity in Ruthless, honey, season 1, episode 4, child. Okay, the boy went down there and sniffed the child's penis. Okay, made him drop his pants and sniffed his penis, child, to see if he had sex with the girl. Baby, I didn't know nothing about Ruthless until that hit the internet. And what's the first thing we did? We ran to the TV to come and see what that was. And that's how I got into Ruthless. Okay. So a lot of it now is about creating the buzz so that I can get the viewership and get the conversation started. Whether you like it or not, as long as I got y'all talking about it, then I've done my job. Because the Uncle Clifford and Little Murder, when their very first sex scene was okay.
That was
That
when
was
they're
on
on the jukebox, right?
the jukebox.
And
That was their
I was like,
first.
ooh, but then I was like, okay, well,
Right.
okay, but
Okay, we
ooh,
got it.
okay,
It
right.
happened, but yeah, okay. And it gave us that thug thing or whatever. And that's the other thing, because now we got a whole different dynamic that they know that they went down into. And that there is the black male thug, street guy, dealing with his own sexuality. You repping the set and carrying on. Don't nobody know who you are. You fresh out of prison, you know, and now you still trying to be hard and dope and this, that, and the other, but you gay. It ain't bi, it ain't nothing. You straight up gay. And you can't live in this world. So now the whole Little Murder character becomes him trying to do this. So in season 2, when we had Little Murder and Big Teak, who now that's what set the internet off, because you got two heterosexual men playing these roles. And that particular sex scene has never been on television anywhere. Where you got two masculine acting, masculine appearing gay men, Thug Street, involved in a sexual session, and the one that you thought was gonna be the top was the bottom. That there, the child,
Wow.
everything about P Valley, every comedian, everybody, everywhere was like, y'all should have told me about this gay shit here. What the fuck is this? You know, but y'all wasn't ready for it because now we get that all the time. I go all the way back to Generations, the soap opera
I
Generations,
remember Generations. Mm-hmm.
with Debbie Morgan and Eric Morgan. I think that was his name. When the child, that one of the final scenes, they had a 1 minute and 30-second sex scene where he done her on that damn piano and carrying on. Baby, that was soft porn all day.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, call me a prude. Again, I haven't seen any of the episodes
I
of
got
P Valley this season, so I am not speaking about what I did not see. I speak on the clips I see and the
right.
similarities I see, but I haven't seen the season. So, again, it doesn't just apply. It's not just about gay sex. I just don't want to see
No, it's
people
about
fucking every 5 minutes. Like, I just
and,
feel like that's a cop out to storytelling. Like,
and you're
it's
right.
like
You're right.
let the room be toe up. Let us see
Right.
some old,
Have some
it's
class
just
with it.
right,
Don't go so
exactly. And the thing
yeah.
about it is, the thing that disturbs me about it, and the reason why I get on my soapbox, and I was talking about this last night. I talked about this on my live last night. Now we got little babies, little toddlers. I don't know if you saw it or not, Mish, but there is a toddler on TikTok singing Down in the Valley where the girls get naked. When we listen to the opening of the song, we hear a child's
Yeah,
voice.
it
Sex
sound like
trafficking
a
is
little bit.
real, sexual assault is real. I think, I got a whole documentary on sexual assault.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
people don't have the sympathy for our community when we go through that shit that they
This
have in
this
other
the truth.
communities.
This
They
the
just
truth.
don't have it. And the reason
This
they don't have it is because these narratives are like, no, y'all do this shit every day. Like, of course you
right.
like have wild, crazy sex all the time and you're like in heat 24/7. And like, I think that's just really damaging. And I think, we have to really start to explore when it's too much and
Yeah.
how we put our foot down and let people know, because it's really, I had no idea that Tyler Perry had a show that showed full frontal. I had no idea. I'm tired
Oh,
of it.
honey.
I'm tired of all of it. I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
tired of all of it.
And that there, that is where the conversation it evolves into. Because right now what we're having, the conversation that is emerging is about gay sex on TV when it should be sex period.
Sex period.
Because
Yeah.
everything,
Mhm.
like I said, anything more than 30 seconds, honey, listen, back when Dynasty came on, okay, when we were, 12 or 13, yes, they had a gay character, honey. But when Steven was about to get some, honey, we knew it because why? The guy was at the door. Steven come open up the door. They looked at each other. You saw their eyes. And the guy put his hand on his shoulder. Steven opens the door. The boy walks in. They close the door. We knew what the fuck was going on.
Right.
You know, we knew what was about to happen.
Yeah.
It wasn't about us seeing, him take his clothes off, this, that, and the other. We didn't get no noodle shots or whatever. If they shot back, somebody was coming out of the shower, putting his tie back on or whatever. We knew that. It was inferred.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But now television has gotten to that point to where we want to keep it real and keep it handed, you know, and feel as though in order to satisfy an audience that this is sufficient because we have too many platforms that are allowing that to be natural. A lot of shows on Roku and other different stations or whatever have
Yeah.
allowed the
But
platform to
everything,
do.
it's just, just because you have access to it, just because you can show that shit does not mean that you should. Just because you
Right.
can, I mean, it's like, really, just because you can go to the liquor store and buy a gallon of liquor don't mean you should drink the whole fucking gallon in one setting. And it's
Exactly.
like
Exactly.
everything on television right now as it relates to black people is hypersexual,
And
drugs,
gratuitous. It does
violent.
nothing for the
It
story.
does
It is
nothing for the story. It does not move it along.
anytime that we, something like, and I get tired of the period pieces, but I'm gonna use one. Something like 12 Years a Slave, okay? To sit down there
You
to
call it
rip
a
the
period piece. I call them slave movies because that's all
okay,
they
right,
are.
okay. Okay. You know, to rip her clothes off or whatever because you're about to whip her and carrying on and all that. That there was what was done at the time or whatever, and it fits what was going on. You in the raised, you know, the overseers doing this thing and trying to humiliate her and this, that, and that. All that goes with the storyline. But when you're just doing it to be doing it because you're trying to get ratings,
Let's
that's a
figure
whole
out
different
how many different ways we could do it. Let's do it on the
thing.
jukebox. Let's do it in the
Yeah,
car. Let's
exactly.
do it on the
Yeah,
such and such. Let's do it. And
right,
because it's
right.
the audience out there that all they could sit up and watch porn and get high and watch people
Right,
all day, then you know you're
exactly.
gonna get a certain audience. I just, anyway. Yeah,
Because
it's
all the Queens men is the male version of P Valley.
no,
You
when I
know,
saw
so
all the Queens men, there was a scene I think in the beginning of the first episode, and the man came in and did something kind of similar, like grabbed a girl and like
yeah,
stuck his hand in her pants and was like, "It's crazy." And I'm just like, I'm in the twilight zone. That's all.
yeah.
I'm in the right. Somebody said I'm tired of the men, women, and kids twerking. It's just too much, you guys. It is just like sexy. That's why I posted Sade. We need our girls and our men, our community as a whole, the same way that young women can be told that you don't have to keep twerking, you don't have to sell your ass, you don't have to listen to the CPS worker and be a prostitute. Young gay people can be told that you don't have to fuck in every scene
Exactly,
and you don't have
exactly,
to show your penis and there's
exactly.
another way to show that love. And that goes back to what you said in the very beginning of this. As a person who has lived this life for a very long time, a lot of people who have been on this live, a lot of my friends don't feel like that is a representation of who they are and the lives that they live. Now we get it. It's TV and it doesn't have to necessarily, you don't have to live in a space where it has to represent the people that you see every day. But when we're
Right.
coming out of pandemics, we're dealing with topics like suicide, we're dealing with topics like sex. There's a girl on Instagram who I think is so dope. Her name is Gwen too, I want to say, and she's a AIDS advocate and she has AIDS. And even my soror idea, who's amazing, you know what I mean, HIV advocacy. People are really losing their lives because of the decisions that they make, as it
Hmm.
relates to sexuality. So P Valley is already a show that deals with sex work. I think it's really important for them to take the extra steps, and this again, if they go into season 3 and they start writing, this is just a word, from one writer to the next, figure out a way to tell a love story that doesn't require, you know, um, all of
Gratuitous.
that gratuitous,
Yeah.
sex and sexual acts and stuff. But again, if I have anything to do with it, this shit'll be. I was about to
Okay.
say something I was gonna get in trouble for. Okay, so it's almost 2 o'clock. Meech, I gotta get you on my Nights with Nikki podcast so we can talk some more about this. I'm so grateful to you for sharing, your experiences as a Black gay man. I'm so glad that you're one of those people. It's like, honey, don't call me a girl. I'm a man, and you know what I'm saying? Like, I love
But
that.
you know what? I like Flame Monroe. Flame Monroe said her pronouns are he, she, we, honey.
He, she, we, because
Okay.
when you
He,
give,
she,
what is
we.
it, divinity? What? Come on,
Well, okay. Well, I'm Samantha Stevens Divinity. Samantha
Samantha.
Stevens Divinity, honey. Queen of Queen of the House of Divinity. Wait a minute, I'm fucked it up.
See, it's
Okay,
like,
I fucked it up because I am heiress to the throne and queen of the house of the mother and the mother of divinity, honey.
yeah.
Uh, queen of the witches' council, child, and all of that. But one of the things is, I don't mind that, but do understand. I have to tell this to a lot of folks: don't let the smooth tape fool you. I adore being a man, and just because I'm not the most masculine man, it does not mean I'm a man. And that there is something I had wrote in my first book about what is about my masculinity, honey. I'm the man that I need to be. Just because it doesn't meet up with what you think masculinity is, don't mean that I'm not a man. Because trust me, honey, when it's time to do it, honey, guess what? It can and will get done in whatever way I need it to be done. Okay. And as far as my sexuality is concerned, don't get upset with me because God gave me options.
Man, I can talk to you all night. I love it. Well, this has helped me. I'm sure that it's helped some of the people who are watching on the live because it gets a little, it gets a little touchy. You got to be careful about, how you have this conversation. And I'm just grateful to have friends. Thank you, Javon and Queen. Thank y'all for being so engaged in this dialogue. We all just trying to learn. We're all just trying to learn, and we're all in this together. And what we have to learn how to do is listen to each other. You know what I mean? And really, you know, it's amazing. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I am so grateful. So thank you for watching. Thank you for paying attention. Thank you guys for sticking around. And I appreciate everybody for spending the night with Nikki. I love you guys, and
Nikki,
we'll be back. Yes, baby.
now before we go, let me say this to everybody. I want you guys to understand when it comes down to understanding your body,
Mm-hmm.
the body is designed for pleasure. It
Mm-hmm.
is designed to respond to stimulus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So for those of you who've been touched in a way that your
Ooh.
body reacted, does not mean that you liked it or not because of whatever. But you liked it because it was the touch. If it came from somebody that you're not attracted to or whatever, that I don't need you tripping and saying, "Oh, am I gay or not?" Because I like that. The body is designed to react to stimulus, which is why having sex with a child is a crime.
Woo.
Having sex against someone's will is a crime because when they say no and when they do not understand that, children don't understand what their body is. Okay, they don't understand what they mean. So you can con them out of a candy bar or whatever, and they go say yeah because they want the candy. They don't know what sex is. So when you touch them, of course, if they're doing it right, it's going to feel good. It's going to feel pleasurable because the body is designed to respond. If it doesn't, it's going to respond as well and be like, ooh, that don't feel right. Remember, we teach kids good touch, bad touch for a reason. And when it's done, it's going. And if they're trying to cultivate you, that's what this is. So I'm saying that because there's a lot of folks out there who may have had an experience or whatever, or thought that, oh, this means I'm gay because you had another man go down on you, but it felt good. It's supposed to feel good if they're doing it right. You just are not attracted to men. It doesn't mean that that made you gay. You just had an experience, and
Wow.
that there's what we have to keep clear.
Whew. Y'all, he'll be back. My friend will be back. He'll be back. Wow, I don't know what else to say about that. And except I will add this.